What is up, Dan and Amy? What?
House of Cards music, the theme song.
Yeah.
Starts soon,
Yeah, that's the faux House of Cards. The real House of Cards is a BBC series from the early 90s starring Ian Richardson and Francis Urquhart.
Oh, yeah.
So don't give me your cheap American imitation House of Cards. There's one House of Cards, even though Kevin Spacey's a great actor. And Robin Wright's pretty good.
And now she's finally getting equal pay, the same amount that Kevin Spacey's getting.
Okay, great.
I'm going to go burn my bra. You coming with, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll see you at the Million Nasty Women March next week.
Hey, all my girlfriends are going to that.
Yeah, I bet they are.
Church members.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're not going to get anywhere near President Trump.
Rexon.
Sexy Rexy.
First day of his confirmation hearing yesterday. And, of course, the topic of particular focus and emphasis from his inquisitors was Russia. And rather pointed exchange between Marco Rubio and Rex Tillerson, on that matter of how to characterize Vlad Putin.
Is Vladimir Putin a war criminal?
I would not use that term.
His military targeted schools, markets?
I would want to have much more information before reaching a conclusion.
I find it discouraging, your inability to cite that, which I think is globally accepted.
And Tillerson wouldn't describe Putin as a war criminal.
Here's the statement that Rexon did make on Putin and Russia.
Russia today poses a danger, but it is not unpredictable in advancing its own interest. It has invaded the Ukraine, including the taking of Crimea, and supported Syrian forces that brutally violates the laws of war. Our NATO allies are right to be alarmed at a resurgent Russia. But it was in the absence of American leadership that this door was left open and unintended signals were sent. We backtracked on commitments we made to allies. We sent weak or mixed signals with red lines that turned into green lights.
Zing, nice construct there. So violated the laws of war. Is calling Putin a war criminal, is that a litmus test for his confirmation? That's a fairly strong statement. It's a bit more measured, but it's a strong statement on Russia and Putin and what has occurred in the not-so-distant past under his dictatorship of Russia. For more on this topic and others, we're pleased to be joined by our friend, Congressman Adam Kinzinger from Illinois' fighting 16th Congressional District. Adam, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Good. So what about Tillerson and the statement that he offered on Russia and a bit of a tense exchange between him and Rubio on nomenclature?
Yeah, I don't think so. The statement that you played, the kind of prepared remarks were good. I think the off-the-cuff exchange with Rubio was bad on his part. I think he did himself some damage. I don't think it's fatal. I see Rex Tillerson is still probably getting confirmed pretty easily. But I think, and this may just be that, he's not really a politician and I guess doesn't know how to use his words in a way that's going to satisfy always. But I think it would be very easy for him to have said, look, and this is probably what I would say if I was on the stand, which is, look, Senator, using the term war criminal has huge implications, and I'm not prepared to use that yet. However, undoubtedly, Vladimir Putin and his army have committed numerous war crimes. And I think that would have been, I think that's probably what Senator Rubio was looking for, something like that.
Yeah, but Rubio's vote could make the difference in Tillerson's progress. I mean, there's only one vote margin on the Senate Foreign Affairs Committee, and that's, they need Rubio's vote. So do you think this is a dog and pony show that he's just trying to elevate his political career?
If Rubio stops his nomination from going to the Senate floor, are you kidding me? No way that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Rubio, I think Rubio is a very strong man of principle. I mean, the issue of Russia is important to him, to a lot of people. It happens to be one of my very important issues that I think is extremely important to put out there on the front. Now, I don't see him, unless something bigger happens than what happened today, as actually shutting it down. But I think these are good questions. And, we're getting ready to put, in essence, the guy that acts as president when the president isn't there, when he travels around the world. I think it's very important to know his worldview, especially when it comes to a country with an economy smaller than Italy that's been pushing us around the globe for the last 8 years.
Well, right, and Tillerson essentially spoke to that, red lines turning into green lights. I mean, that's hardly Russian sympathetic Russian rhetoric.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, the prepared remarks are different than what you say off the cuff. Now, again, I don't think this is fatal. I don't think it was a death blow that he said. I do think maybe if he could go back in time, he might have said it a little differently. And I think, at the end of the day, he's going to be confirmed. But it's important for people like Rubio and folks that have been hawks on Russia, which it's amazing to see all these newfound Democratic hawks on Russia that, were the big advocates of the reset a few years ago. But I think it's important to get these views out there and have no doubt who we're sending to be, in essence, the president when the president's not there.
You're a combat veteran. What's your assessment of Donald Trump's choice for VA Secretary, Dr. David Shulkin, who is essentially the undersecretary right now at the VA? Does that present any concerns about somebody who's there while during the Obama years, 300,000 veterans reportedly have died waiting for the care to which they are entitled?
No, it doesn't concern me because I think Donald Trump will make. I think he's put a lot of thought into this. This is obviously one of his big campaign promises, and I think he picked the right guy. I don't know this guy very well, so I can't vouch for him, but I trust the process that Donald Trump has used. He's put great people in appointments so far. And I think the big key is, we need somebody that's going to slash the bureaucracy. The problem in the VA is not necessarily the doctors and the nurses and the caregivers. It's the giant, massive bureaucracy that sits on top of it and ping-pongs your paperwork back and forth before you can even get in to see these folks. So, and I was actually glad, too, that he didn't put a politician or somebody who just knew his or her name. I think it's important to get kind of a technocrat in that position that can get in and really shake up and solve things. And we've given the VA the authority to fire people. It's time they start firing people that aren't doing their jobs.
What about Homeland Security nominee General John Kelly? I mean, he backed down on waterboarding, backed down on targeting Muslims with surveillance, and isn't giving full support of a wall between the U.S. and Mexico.
Look, General Kelly is going to be fantastic, and the nuance of the wall. I think it's basically almost impossible to build a real entire wall on the fence. But I think more fencing, funding, the law that existed in 2005, strong surveillance, a lot of border patrol. I think we can get as secure of a border as we possibly can. But things keep in mind with General Kelly. He lost a son in combat, and he's a Gold Star father.
Yeah,
and this is somebody who doesn't just understand the military from the perspective of how to lead, how to be a general, but he understands the personal sacrifice of it. And while that doesn't necessarily qualify you for Homeland, I think it really gives you a perspective that's necessary in a job like this. I think he's going to be fantastic.
I want to go back to the VA for a moment because this is, one of these unbelievable scandals, even though I know this was a scandal-free administration, that occurred during the Obama years that needs to be remedied. And so in terms of leadership, that's part of it. But what about the structure of the VA? What about doing something like voucherizing the VA, giving every veteran the same health care plan that members of Congress have and giving them the flexibility and choice, particularly after Obamacare is repealed, to get the care they need, the premium care they need when they need it, rather than relying on, as you say, the centralized bureaucracy that has failed so many?
I agree. I wouldn't give them the same plan we have because we're on Obamacare. So,
well, when that goes away, yes, right.
Probably wouldn't be very popular. No, I think that's important to do because we started that process with the choice card, which says, if you live X amount of miles away from a VA facility, you can go to your doctor. I think giving people the opportunity to go to their doctor regardless of where they live. You can keep the hospitals in place for people that like them. The problem is, to be honest with you, Dan, the biggest opponents to that are some of your veterans groups like the VFW, of which I'm a member, and American Legion. They come out in mass whenever anybody talks about changing the structure of the VA. I don't exactly know why, what the vested interest is in it, but I think this is the opportunity to revolutionize it and make sure that people are getting much better health care than they have been. Again, the health care they're getting isn't necessarily bad. I've talked to a lot of people that go to Hines and things. I'm not in the VA system yet. I will be. And they say the doctors are great. The problem is this gigantic bureaucracy on top.
Well, right. I mean, it's like talking about the Chicago public school system. Do some kids get educated? Yeah, the ones that get into Peyton Prep. What about what about the ones that are withering on the vine? And so even if it's a much smaller percentage than it is kids not getting educated in CPS, The study, 300,000 veterans died waiting for care they were entitled to. I mean,
that's the population of Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
I mean, that is a staggering number. The centralized bureaucracy, we say, doesn't work anywhere. Central planning, because nobody has the secret knowledge to turn all the dials and pull all the levers just right. So why would it work at the VA any better than it works for centralized public school systems in our urban centers or any other central planning?
I agree, and what I want you to watch is, so when these discussions happen, and they very well may under this administration, it's whatever his plan is, he'll be leading kind of the talk of it as the new president. But if they begin to talk about this, watch the groups that come out in opposition.
Yeah.
And I know you're really good at this. Ask them why, because that's the key. When we talked about this, you'd be amazed at the groups that came out and said, to veterans, Congress is talking about taking away your VA system, healthcare and everything, and it spun them all up.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Social Security, like going to 401ks. It's like I'm afraid that it'll get worse if the government changes it. But that's a fair point. Those groups and those arguments need to be addressed. Adam Kinzinger, Congressman from Illinois 16th Congressional District. Adam, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Take care, guys. See ya.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.